All right, welcome back to the NFM Podcast here in the Optimize You studio. I'm joined with Aaron Hines, and we're brought to you today by our sponsors, Chillin, Southern Trophy, and the United States Navy. Dude, I hear you're a former host from back in the day. What brings you back today?
Bring you back to do a little fill-in, so glad to have me back. Feels pretty natural with this, so ready to rock.
All right, nice. Because how long has it been since you've done the podcast here?
I can tell you, I did it in Murfreesboro at the Stretch Lab, so that was one of the sponsors. So that may be about a year and a half.
And that really predates
or
me.
so.
It's like,
way before your time.
Yeah, I was like, goodness gracious. It's probably still in school. So today we're just going to be kind of having a little bit of trainer talk, talking about just the trends that we've seen. Aaron's been coaching for about 10 years. I've been in it for about 5, 6. And so like we've seen different things come about. And probably like the number one thing right now is the GLP-1s or GLP-3s. So you work with like generally like 55 plus. Is it hitting that area stuff too as well?
Yeah, so it's probably more of like I would say more of the 55, 60. And for some of them, I mean, they need to be on it. It's more like I won't say a last resort, but it's more beneficial for them. And then I've got those who you would say have all the money in the world so they can just go and pick and choose where they get it from. It sounds kind of sketchy, but they're looking for that next like 3 to 5 pounds, or some of them 10. So they're on it for maybe 3 months and they're off of it. So I would say they're kind of the yo-yo cycle for those. So that's where I'm seeing the trend with my clientele. So
yeah, and that's pretty much been the same over here. I'm not against them. I don't think you are as well. I think they're a great tool like anything else. But I think the biggest thing is people get on them and think it's going to be this magical thing that when they get off, they're not going to have to do it again, where it's like it's no different than if you did keto, vegan, like whatever it was. Like as soon as you stop it, like you need to have some type of off ramp to doing it. So whenever we get people that, hey, because we partner with some people that like prescribe those, whatnot, some, like you said, some people really do need it. And I'm generally pro for them as long as you are working on the nutritional habits along with it. Because what we've seen is people will get off and they just go right back to what they're doing. It's like, hey, you've just now lost 10 to 20 pounds. So you have all that giant hunger signaling just ramped up and you just turned off the mute button and the noise is back. So then they just come crashing back. I'm sure you've seen that type of similarity. So how do you get that point across to your clients with that? Because I found like some people are really receptive to it if you catch them before they started. But if you get someone that's on it and then they come to you, it's like, all right, we're going to have to do some education because maybe the person prescribing it to you is telling you that stuff, or there's like, nah, here it is. Because like you said, the people with money, they're just getting it.
Yeah, they're going to use it either way. So it's more of a kind of what I know about it, the small education piece of that. It's like, yeah, you can be on them. That's great. But, how's your nutrition? Are you getting enough protein? And are you working out? Those are the two big things. And most are like, well, I'm not really hungry. And, that's the reason they're on them, to prevent them from being ravenous and hungry all the times. But it's also like, what are you eating? How much are you eating? Are you eating the right stuff? And are you strength training? Because as we know, if you're on them all the time, muscle loss, you get the Ozempic or GLP-1 body. I like to refer to that to as a burnt candle. Everything starts to sag to the floor and you're like, what is going on here? And you can tell by most of those who are on it who are not doing their nutrition properly or not strength training. It's very visible and you can tell from a mile away. So it's more education on my end to help them, but also educate them on why they need to do both or all three. You're on the GLP-1, strength train, and your nutrition, as opposed to just one and not the others.
Do you have any pushback when you tell them that? Because we sometimes get like, oh, no, I'll be fine. Like I'll figure it out when I get off.
Yeah, there's some of those. There's one that are, I'll say, my older clients, probably in their early to late 70s, are kind of just going to do whatever they want to. It's kind of one of those you can tell them all the right things and educate them on them. They look at you and go, yeah, I'm good on that. So there's some, and there's others that want to hear more and want to be, maybe referred out to somebody to give them more information, or maybe it's a nutritionist to help them with their eating and stuff like that. But for the most part, it can only do as much as you can, right? When they're in your 4 walls.
Yeah, 100%. And then I think just so we can get to this one, because the GLP-1s themselves don't cause muscle loss. I think that's one of the major misconceptions with that is you just now take a giant subset of people. Like even when you look at like the study data, we're like, oh, people are taking this. It's more of a correlated, not causative type thing. those people are generally not strength training. It's why we kind of harp on like, hey, if you're going to take it, you need to do that alongside with it, because you're going to inevitably put yourself into a big deficit. And we know like if you're not providing that signal of strength training, like muscle loss is going to happen because you're just don't feel hungry. So yeah, I think that's one of the things that's been the trickiest educating people on when they come to you like, oh, is it true you lose like muscle? Like, no, it's not. And then getting them on board with that is huge. So
yeah, it's more the ones who are really, they're using it for the weight loss and they've done nothing else besides be sedentary. So you're going to have that muscle wasting loss anyway already. So it's just going to be more
accelerated.
Yeah, more accelerated, and you're going to notice it more just because they haven't done anything on top of that.
Have you found that it's helped with any inflammation, especially with like the 55 plus crowd? Because I know like the GLP-3s are a little more with that from like a joint perspective type thing, getting off the weight loss, like one of the benefits to it.
Yeah, I haven't heard. There's been no, I guess, relation to that for my clients. They haven't verbally said that. Now, I haven't pressed them on it either because some of the least expected ones of my clients are on them. The ones who probably don't need them. So it's really like the small ladies who are probably like 140 pounds are on them and could just eat a little bit better and be a little bit more beneficial. So I haven't really pressed them on that. So that's a good point to maybe ask them for most of them.
Okay, nice. Yeah, because we've seen that with a few, because we've had a couple older guys that will take that for their reason, because we partner with another person that helps with that, and he's like, hey, it's one of the secondary benefits people don't think of, so it's always nice. Do you have the people that have a hard time getting off the yo-yo? I can think of one person we work with in particular, like she's like deathly afraid of regaining the weight. Mm-hmm. And it's just, have you seen that? What?
Yeah, I've seen that quite a bit, and once they get off of it, I would say the time frame is probably 3, maybe 6 months, and they're back on it. But I think that comes back to they really haven't had a plan of action for that. They get on it for a quick fix, and there's no like plan afterwards. So it's like, I'm on it for 3 months. What do I do after? Well, they haven't really thought that far ahead. So once they get off of it, their weight shoots back up, and they're like, well, it's much easier just to go back on them. So they're on again, off again, 3 months here, 3 months there. So for most of them, I don't think they've really thought that far ahead.
How do you feel about like the microdose for extended durations?
I don't have a problem with that. For not even my personal experience, but my wife's been on them for health reasons, and it seems to be working for her. And there's no, I don't know the dosage. I would say it's a low dose because she's not big in any form of fashion. So long term, it's helped her. It's helped her with regulating that because she's got a family history of diabetes. So just trying to be more of a preventative measure for her. So I think it's working in that regard. But I think for those who are on it, I think there's long-term benefits for it as opposed to this shocking your body with the highest dose. Because in my experience, most of my clients will go on a higher dosage and then they'll taper back off. There's never been like a low dose for a lengthy period of time. It's always like they're going to shock your system, we're going to lose the weight, and then we're going to taper it off. So that's probably a good thing to think about for a lot of them. Or if there's maybe a physician or whoever in town that's going to be prescribing more of that as opposed to the shock and all of the huge weight loss, and then we'll taper down to the microdose.
Yeah, I would be a fan of the microdosing, especially for those with higher like food noise. I think it's kind of a big equalizer because as we've seen with some people, they're just, I myself would take it if I could. It's banned with the organization I compete in. But my food noise is just, I'm always hungry all the time. And it doesn't matter if it's, like, obviously you can play with like satiety signals with veggies and fruits and all that. But even at that point, it's just like, man, it would be nice to just not have it all the time. And I know some people have done that, and I think that's like a good application. I think like one last thing on this, if we were to kind of, as we shift off the GLP-1s, from like a training periodization standpoint, way you can look at GLP-1s is like, hey, all right, you're going to take it as needed from like a dosing perspective. This is kind of a way too, you can tell if like the person prescribing is good to you. If someone tells you, hey, week 2, you're going to take whatever the dose is, and then week 4, you're going to bump it, and then week 6, that's a red flag to run away. Because you would never do that with any other medication or anything else. It's like, why would you ramp it up if it's working? So like the higher the dose, doesn't make it better for you. You just need enough to kind of curb that food noise, get the job done, work on the nutrition habits, train during that, yada, yada. And then as you come off of it, so you've lost the weight, we all know, or you and I know that at the end of a diet, like your hunger is up because you had that like shift in leptin to ghrelin, and it takes a little bit of time. So kind of, I think it has a very big application to be used in maintenance as well. So it's like you're coming down, it's like, all right, we're bumping food up, we're kind of dropping the GLP-1. And then if you're trying to get off it, your food's back up by the time you're off. So then you don't have the hunger signals just going, bop.
Yeah, and I think if there's more, I would say more education behind that for people to realize that, as opposed to just dropping all the way down to a maintenance phase, I think most would be better off long term.
Because I mean, that's where people struggle. People don't struggle losing weight; they do it all the time.
Yeah,
it's like within like three years is about 95% people gain the weight back, and that's because this is the biggest thing that we harp on when we work with people is we'll get you to the weight loss, but we really need you to stick on board for that time period afterwards, because that's a whole other subset of skills. So, and I think that's a good way to transition to like the longevity piece of this whole fitness game. If you were to pick one thing that's kind of top thing, longevity, stay in the game for as long as you can, what would it be? From a training nutrition perspective, one of each.
I would say, at least 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Yeah. And I mean, heavy resistance training for, I say longevity for those, even I'm 40, so my 50, 60, and 70-year-olds as well. Strength declines as we age. We all know that. You find things to be a little bit harder, but it's just a matter of like, can we still stay strong and mobile long term? And the answer for me is yes. Just a matter of how can you do it, and can you do it safely? Totally
agree. Love that. I would definitely say strength training, number one for sure. And then finding the nutrition strategy that works the best for you, whether that's some type of keto or not, like whatever you can adhere to is the magic number. And I think that would be my top 2 things for longevity. And walking. We got to throw a walk, like daily step count. Such an easy one, but people just kind of snooze at it. Like they talk about it, but then they don't really actually like see its big impact.
What have you found to be like the sweet spot for steps? Because it used to be 10,000 steps, and now it's, maybe, I don't say it's gotten lower, but for those that it's like, I don't say a maintenance phase, but a doable amount for an active adult to get on a consistent basis.
So I think for keeping, like, to maintain the body comp that you like and to still be able to enjoy life, that's the key ticker there.
Yeah, fun.
Is that 10 to 12,000 range really gives you a lot more play. And it's a little bit of more conscious effort, but I think especially in today's world, like you have to be a little, you can't just turn your brain off. If we turn our brain off, we're going to go back to what we were doing.
Yeah.
So like when you hit that 10 to 12, like it's enough play to, like, you're most likely still training with that, like you're eating well, and it gives you a bit of a buffer. It's when people drop beneath that 10, I've been guilty of this many times. It's like you just see like weight slowly creep up, and you go and look at your step counts, like, oh, it's slowly going down at the same time. It's just going up. So like 10 to 12, which sounds like a lot, but if you're paying attention to it, you can kind of gamify your whole day with that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I started, and this is just kind of my step. I started with like 15,000, I think, last year. And it's every time I got closer and closer. And then when I wouldn't hit it, I was like, this is frustrating. It's just like our clients with their health and fitness goals. They get close to it and they don't hit it. And it's like kind of discouraging. So I dropped it to 10. I know that sounds kind of probably a cheat code, but 10,000 or so was kind of the sweet spot, even for my, I've got a guy that walks an hour before working out, and then he works out with me. And today we just hit the watch, and it was 8,000 in an hour. That's pretty solid for a 1 hour walking. You've got, another 12 hours of work and walking around that you can probably hit 15. So it's good for him to maintain his weight, but also I think it helps for him specifically, just a little bit of weight loss, because, he's pushing 60 and he's sedentary like sales job. So, he's probably not going to be getting a lot being at the office. So
what are your little tricks? Do you have any like tricks to get your step count up? I always say, if you're somebody that like works on the phone and you don't have to be in front of the screen, just like walk around and take your calls.
Yeah, walking around the calls, or I would say I'm probably not as good. I usually just set my phone down, but putting your phone in your pocket if you're in the office or wherever you are. I'm not sure where everybody puts their phone. Maybe they leave it at their desk, but walking around, if you live or work close to your restaurant of choice, walk to that restaurant. it'll take 3 to 5 minutes, maybe 10 to get there and back. But just having that consistency on that. I won't say there's more of a cheat, but I try to walk in between breaks, or if I don't have a client, I get on the treadmill and walk. Maybe not everybody has access to that, but I think just being conscious of movement every single day for at least, maybe 5,000 steps in the morning, 5,000 around midday, and another 5 in the afternoon. So probably a little bit easier than you think.
I like that, yeah.
Kind of breaking it down.
Like top of every hour is always a good one.
Yeah.
Even if it's just 5 minutes, a little clarity break. I think they did a study on that with like work productivity too. I always try and like cite that to my corporate guys because like, I got to keep going. I'm like, maybe if you take a second, get a clear head, your sales will go up. Allow me to try it, and like, oh, dude, it's way better. I was like, yeah, look at that. You're not staring at the screen all day.
Yeah, it's just like you're sitting down all day. You're sedentary. I think it kind of zaps your energy, and you just don't have the clarity. So that 5-minute walk or whatever, like you said, was probably perfect just to get the energy boost they need to probably be a little bit more clear the rest of the day.
So what kind of training do you do?
So that's a twofold.
Yeah. Not just your clients, but more so like yourself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I always like to know this.
Yeah. So for me, I've got I would say, rewind a little bit back in the pre-college. So I played small college football, and that was like
sick.
Probably CrossFit before it was timed, is what my roommates always said. It was just brutal. But over the years, I've had my fair share of injuries. So this was actually on the clock, and I can't do a whole lot. But for me personally, I have a reconstructed elbow. Probably needs elbow replacement down the road. But as far as like what I can and can't do, I'm limited now. So what I would like to do, I'm limited to what I can do. So anything strict overhead, unless it's like a 15-pound dumbbell, is probably out of the picture, just because it wrecks the left side of my body from my ear to my scapula, all the way down. So I do a lot of dumbbell work. I can still back squat. So it's kind of a mix. I use an app, and you may say, you've been training for how long and you use an app? Well, I've written so many programs over the years, I just don't care about writing my own. So I use an AI app called Shred, and you can mix and...
I've seen ads for that.
You can mix and mold it. And so what works for me is probably like it's like a chest and back day, or chest and triceps, a leg day, oblique. So every day is something different. And if I don't like it, I can just go in and customize my own. So most of it's probably 30 minutes of lifting, maybe 45. And then I do about an hour of walking.
Very nice.
And that may sound pretty geriatric for somebody my age, but it's what works for me. And last year, I've dropped almost 45 pounds. Just staying on that consistent track, eating right, but also, it seems boring because it's not super intense. It's probably the complete opposite of CrossFit or high intensity interval training. It's just what works for me, because my recovery is probably not great. Getting like 8 hours of sleep and having 2 kids and trying to run the business and all that stuff. So that's kind of where I'm at as far as like what I do. So good days is probably 90 minutes. Not so good days is like 30 minutes of lifting and then an hour of walking.
So what would you, I actually want to circle back. So you know how some people think they need this whole, like you got to have an hour. Like how do you get across? Because I've had days, and I compete for bodybuilding and high rocks for fun. But there's days where there's 30 minutes and that's all you got.
Yeah.
Like how do you get that across with, hey, that's good. Like that can be enough to move the needle forward, or at least keep it from going back. Because I think some people just like, I don't have the time, so I'm just not gonna do it. It's like I hit PRs in a time period where it was, I just started my own business. We were trying to have a kid, all this jazz. And it was like, there was 4 out of 5 days a week where it's like, I had a 30-minute window and I hit like all-time best numbers on stuff. It's just like taking that 30 minutes and like being very intentional about it.
Yeah, I think this is probably the misconception of you have to have an hour to work out and be efficient. Because I feel like, most of my training sessions are an hour as far as like who I train, but it's more or less of like, you got to get across to them. And it's hard for some. It's like, you got 10 minutes, dude, go for a walk, go for a brisk walk for 10 minutes. You can lift, you can do a full body workout in 30 minutes. Just a matter of like, what do you have? If you have dumbbells, do you have a treadmill? Maximize that time and be intense about it, or be intent about it. Because I think for some, it's like they don't feel like they're going to get much out of it. They're not going to be really sore. Soreness is a big key indicator of like, I need more time to be more sore, push myself. But I mean, I've had clients come in for 30 minutes because that's all the time they had. They book an hour, but they've got 30. They're in and out, and they're like, thanks, I got my heart rate up, I got a sweat in, and I felt good about myself.
Is this something when you were like a younger trainer? Because I remember, when I was first started, like that hour, I was like, okay, I got to make sure I fill their hour.
Oh, yeah.
And I did that for maybe like 6 months. And then I was like, okay, there's some people that genuinely don't need more than 30 minutes, especially when they're first starting out. Like, how would you tell someone that's just now starting to be like a coach, trainer, whatever you want to call it, that, hey, that's okay. And like, that's probably what you should communicate to the person you're working with. Because we are doing this professionally as time savers. It's like, we don't need to stretch it out. Sometimes capping it at 45 is cool. Like, what would you tell someone starting off that would be hesitant about that? Because if I was a young trainer, if I think back and like, oh, well, I left 15 minutes on the clock with them.
Yep. I would fill that time.
Yeah.
I used to fill that time, and I think we're starting out, we're all like that because it's like, you're paying for an hour. I'm going to give you 59 minutes and 59 seconds, and then I'm going to send you out of here. So it's like really like dive into the person and feel like what they really need, because that person starting out who's been sedentary for 30 plus years and really trying to find a groove of getting back in shape. I mean, it may be, like you said, maybe a 10-minute warm up because they're stiff as a brick, maybe 10 minutes of stretching, and maybe 20 minutes of exercise. And a lot of that time you're exercising is showing them how to do stuff, coaching them up, correcting form and technique, and just making sure they're filling the muscles where they're supposed to for that. So I think for somebody starting out is, if you have an hour, you don't have to fill it. I mean, the full hour,
you just got to
probably not. You keep them moving, but also some of those people are so deconditioned that they can't make it an hour.
No.
I had a guy quit halfway through my eval. And it was probably 15 minutes into I think we did, this has been years ago, I've changed it since, but we did body weight squats, lunging, because I want to see how they moved on like single leg. We did push-ups and a med ball slam. And I usually went two rounds just to see kind of how they respond to it. And I think we got through one, and he went and sat on the front parking lot step and was like, I don't think this is for me, man. I'm out of here. And I was like, really? But you got to kind of have to meet the client where they are.
Yeah, because you want to come back.
Yeah, you want them to come back, but they're also, it's kind of like they're and you might have had some of these too, where they've been burned by a lot of other places 100%. In town, so they feel like you're the same.
Yeah,
and you're not. Where I'm not. You know,
right.
We've got our own way we like to train people. Is making them feel comfortable, making them feel welcome, but also kind of breaking down that wall of like, this is pretty intimidating. So 45 minutes, dude, we're going to stretch and get out of here. I'll see you next time, because I want them to keep coming back. And if they love it, then you're going to add maybe one or two more things. And then eventually that full hour they paid for is going to go by super quick.
Yeah, and I think that's like going back to the GLP-1s. There's just an education component. So if you you just have to explain to the client why you're doing that, because eventually they'll get to it. And that's because if I think about how we program for our online people, like there's times I'm like, this is going to take 20 minutes. I know for a fact. But that's all that it needs. It's like, why would you change how you do it on the online sphere than what you do in person? So it's just being able to blend that. We're going to take a quick break real fast. And when we come back, we're going to talk about why women are generally better clients than men. right, welcome back to the NFM Podcast. So before we left off, we were about to go into talking about why women are more often than not better clients than men. I'll lead it.
There's a touchy subject.
People are already like clicking off to like screw this guy.
Stop the hate mail.
So I would say 9 out of 10 times women don't come in the door with an ego. Men are generally like, I'm a dude. Like we have an ego about us sometimes, even though we shouldn't. And that I've just noticed over the years that women just they're better listeners, and it's probably the dynamic, especially like I'm short. So whenever I get a taller guy and he's like, I'm like, dude, look, I know I've been looking up at adults my entire life since I was 4 years old. So like, there's always that thing. So how do you go about getting the buy-in from like a guy off the bat to get him to when you can tell that there's someone that's like already not wanting to listen? Because not all guys. Some guys come in like, dude, just tell me what to do. Like I have a coach myself. I'm like, Steve, you just tell me and I'm gonna do it, no problem. Because that's what I'm paying you for. Yeah,
you've got the kind of two ends of the spectrum. You got I call it the former athlete or the former I used to could.
Yes.
There's a lot of those. I used to do this and I used to do that. I was like, well, Jerry, you're 65 and you're not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to. So I think it's a lot of it's just educating them, making sure that they feel comfortable with you. Because I'm sometimes can be pretty intimidating as far as I'll say other guys. My beard is usually 3 times the size of this, and I usually look pretty pissed off most days. But that's just me. But it's just a matter of like trying to get them to tell you more things and why they're there. Because I think most guys I've had over the years, they try to do what they used to do. And that's not the best thing for them currently.
Right.
So I think trying to, like I said, educate them and let them know that, like, I'm in their corner. I want them to succeed, but we're also going to find out maybe better exercises for them than what they used to do 30 years ago. And that's just me coming from I work with a 50-plus population. Now, I don't work with a lot of 30-year-olds, so I can't speak on that level.
I would say, yeah, even 30s like that. They'll do the same thing. And it's been like 10 years since they trained.
Is it just because they want to do bench press every day?
Yeah, but who doesn't?
I can't, so I'll speak to that. But yeah, I think and I have a guy, and he's a longtime client of mine. He's always like, and maybe this is just confidence or lack of, I don't know. He's a great guy, but it's also like, I went out last night and all the people I was with told me I look small, and I said. What? I said, you're full of, you're full of it, dude. He goes, yeah, they said it doesn't even look like I work out. And I said, how long you been working out with me? He's like 12 years. He said, in 12 years, I should look better. And I looked at him and said, if you'd stay away from the ice cream and the barbecue, you look a lot better. So if you can educate them on what they need to, as opposed to what they want to, I think we're going to be a win-win.
That's a funny one. It's funny when it takes that long for like that. Like that was probably the moment the nutrition piece kicked in for him. He's like,
he kind of laughed it off and was like, he just kind of walked away.
Like,
I was like, yeah, there's a spot in Spring Hill, and I said it always takes a hard right turn in his vehicle because he always goes through and gets his custard and his barbecue. And I said, eating healthy. I said, explain to me what you had for lunch today. It was Mexican food, but it was just a little bit of chips. I said, a little bit mean 2 baskets or 3, or is it just 1? He was basically like, no comment.
No comment.
So I think when you clean that piece up and say, hey, if you can try harder on this part, everything else is going to work itself out and you're going to have more success on that. But I think as a guy, talking to a guy, I mean, how much of that really sticks, or is it more? It's easier. I think it's easier to talk about and explain that to my female clients. They're like, I never really thought about that. Where I get a little resistance from my guys.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I always find too, when it comes to talking nutrition with in-person clients, it's easier on the front end of the session than at the back end, because they're already tired by the time we start talking about it, and it just goes in one ear and out the other. And like sometimes I'll just be like, hey, like let's hop on a call like later when you're not working out,
and
your heart rate's down, because that's usually when people kind of like stick to, like, get it to click, because separating that environment, because they kind of see you and I like when we're like during the workout, it's like, oh, that's trainer dude. Like he's just telling me, to work out.
Yeah.
But then for whatever reason, when you just change the setting, that's when the nutrition piece kicks. So like if I were to give trainer advice, as you can do general nutrition talks, but I can tell you on one hand how many times they'll stick on like with them in person as opposed to when we do it at a separate time, which is more effort for you as a trainer, but I mean that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. I think we've got good intention, but it's like when are we going to share that with them? Yeah. It's the same thing with like you can send them an email or they say, hey, I'm going to shoot you something after the workout, and then the next session like I never got it. Well, it's in their inbox, but they just never looked at it. So it's like you've got to kind of repeat that. But I think to have more success with that, you kind of have to repeat yourself multiple times. 100 times. I mean, think about 12 years with the same client, different phases of life, different things going on. Like you've got to, being a business, he's a business owner or whoever it is, they've got 100 different things going on. So you really have to like text it, email it, text it again, call them and tell them. And then eventually, when they want it bad enough, I think that's when it really kind of sticks and they're like, okay, you're right. I really need to kind of tighten this up.
I've had it to where I've said it to them in person, and then I'll post a video just generically, like on Instagram or something, and they'll see it and they'll go, "Oh, dude, that makes like so much sense." I'm like, "Bro, we've been talking about this in person for 2 years." Yeah, like, yeah, I just don't know what it was. Like, I saw the apple, and I was like, "That's a fruit." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's a fruit."
or the good ones were when they come in and they show you, like, "I saw this on TikTok," and it's like, "Dude, we've been talking about this for 6 months."
I'm just like, good job, Tom. You got it.
Yeah, you're winning now. So I think that's kind of I would say the struggle with most of the male clients, but with my female clients, but I don't say they're easier to talk to. They're just more receptive.
Yeah, they're just calmer.
Yeah,
usually
because it's long. I think they're in it for, you could say maybe the long game, and the guys are too. But some of them, they just want it like that, and it's like, dude, come on, how long have you not been doing the right thing? I always say it's going to take twice as long to get the best results, and they're like, I don't want to wait that long. I'm like, so how bad do you want it?
Yeah, exactly. What was I saying? Just thinking on so this is probably where we can end this. Is I think there's this misconception, like we'll stick on the food thing, with the quality of the food matters more so than the quantity. Mm-hmm. And so what I mean by that is, at the end of the day, for all health metrics, all aesthetic metrics, if we really zoom way out, the biggest thing that's going to determine that is going to be like overall caloric intake. This isn't saying that you shouldn't eat fruit or yada yada, but like I think people will go, oh well, I eat healthy, and it's like, yeah, the food items. I had this discussion yesterday with somebody. He was telling me about like all these smoothies and stuff that he's eating and throughout the day. And I was like, yeah. He's like, those are all good, right? I go, yeah, they're good in isolation, but you can get fat technically if all you ate was blueberries. Like it would be very hard to do, but just for this discussion, possible. Like it's possible to do that. And I don't think people want that. I don't think that clicks. And I was like, so what I mean by that is if you overconsume on blueberries, you're going to get over fat. So when you get over fat, we know that's going to lead to like hypertension, diabetes, like chronic inflammation. And even though you're eating quote unquote like healthy food, because you're still eating too much. So that's why I think once people can wrap their head around, like, oh, okay, like I actually need to figure out how much it is that I'm eating, then we can dial in like, all right, cool. So we obviously don't want to eat, if we're trying to lose, we wouldn't want to eat a bunch of cookies the whole time. And technically you could, but you don't want to because it's not great. So once they get that down, it's like, all right, now we can narrow it in. But it's making that switch, because we have people all the time, once we start like diving into their food, they're like, yeah, I cook with olive oil. I'm having avocado. Mm-hmm. I'm having, you name it. I'm like, all right, cool. But you're having a whole avocado. You're having 5 tablespoons of oil. And it's like that right there is close to 1,000 calories. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah. And you pull that off and then stuff comes down. Have you run into that type of like stuff in your career over the past like 10 years?
Yeah. So it's more or less, like you said, I'm eating healthy, but it's like, tell me more.
Yeah.
Well, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. So it's either they're really eating super healthy and they're, I would say, eating close to what they should, or with a lot of my female clients, they don't even come close to the caloric intake. And most of them are, they're not eating, maybe they're not eating enough, or not enough protein, or they're having, I'm just going to say it, they're having way too much wine.
That's
ladies, let's just cut it down. Like, just half maybe, be a lot better off. But trying to find that equal balance of, okay, what do I need? How much do I need of this where I can still have that? I can still have my wine or this, that, and the other and still hit my caloric intake. I just had a lady last week. I referred her out for a dietitian consult, and she's like, I eat breakfast, and then it's like midday, and then at the afternoon she goes, I just become ravenous and I just want to eat everything. And so it's like, well, there it is. There's the kicker right there. What can we do once you're done working out, whether you come at 10 o'clock or 12 o'clock, where you can have, maybe it's a protein shake and some fruit or something to curb that appetite. So when you're in the afternoon, you're not just like looking for everything in the cabinet to consume. So that's, for her, that was her trigger point. And we're like, all right, if we can knock that back and get her on track with what she really needs, then she's going to be able to lose that weight because she's got a wedding. Her son, I think, is getting married, so she want to be, looking good in her dress and looking great for that. So it's like, if we can make those switches in the next 3 to 6 months, boom, right there, you should be golden.
Yeah, and like that's the time where the GLP-1s come in. So to tie it back to the beginning, it's like that helps kind of slow you down a bit, and that's why the both those things, the structure is so key. So without the structure, you're lost.
Yeah.
So I love that. That's pretty good. I think we got a lot done today. Let's see, because you train out in Franklin, right? One last thing before we wrap up. What's the training scene been like in Franklin over the past 10 years? I know it's changed because before there wasn't that much, and now it's because I'm out there too, and it's like I feel like there's something everywhere now.
So I'm really like on the edge. So my mailing address is Brentwood, but literally like I think they crossed the parking lot's Franklin. So it's kind of a weird the way Williamson County has got it kind of dialed up. So over the years, let's see, I've kind of trained in Franklin and I'm back in Brentwood, but there's a lot of new coming through. And I feel like there's another gym on every corner, which is fine. There's plenty of fish out there for everybody, but kind of dialed in. There's I want to call it bodybuilding, maybe a powerlifting gym down the way. There's a new gym opening up for women only. There's Planet Fitness that just opened up, literally like 5 minutes down the road. There's Lifetime. There's all these things that have been built up. But I mean, I would say the change in there's a little bit of for everybody. I think I don't know. There's like one specific gym that stands out. I mean, you've got, I think Carbon's over there too.
Yep.
But just from where I'm at, I don't look at it as, I don't say competition.
No.
In a way, if you do, I feel like you're not really confident in what you have to sell to other people. So even though there's more stuff coming up, I mean, I've been riding the wave for 10 years. So from what we do, but I think it's fun to have all those different options for people.
That's great.
Yeah. There's some for every age, every maybe income level. Doesn't really matter. There's always something out there. So there's never, I'll say never enough. I feel like there's plenty, but there's, if we're not a good fit, you've got a gym down the road. If that's not a fit, there's another one down the road. I mean, I want to say there's 4 of them, just my street.
That is wild. Are y'all friendly with each other?
Friendly.
They're not competition, but they're competition.
Friendly. I don't know. I don't really talk to. Yeah. I kind of stay on my side of the street as far as that goes. But I mean, I'm cordial. I'm not gonna, and I'm always too. I'm like, when people come to my gym, I'm like, if I'm not a good fit for you guys because we do things a little bit differently, I say, man, I'm happy to refer you to somebody down the street or across town. I mean,
same.
I'm not a good fit, and it's because I don't offer what you want. So like, why would I hold them back from getting the results they want by I can send them down the street to somebody else? So I'm happy to do that. I don't talk to everybody on the street.
I love that.
But it's fun.
That's good. And I think that's probably why you've still stuck around, because you stick to your brand and like
who
you want to work with, and like what you just said with, hey, if I'm not the guy, I can find you the guy.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing to look for if you're looking for a trainer.
Yeah, I think that's good. You kind of stay in the lane, but also I offer what I offer, and if you're looking for something outside of that, why wouldn't you? I think ties back to, as a fitness industry and in this area, more business owners and trainers would refer out and not try to hoard everybody that comes through your door. We would all win, and we'd be much happier.
Yeah,
and that's a fact.
You can only train so many people in a day.
Yeah.
You only have one 9 o'clock slot. It's like, so,
yeah,
they want 9. Hey, man, look, I know a guy, but I'm going to just keep you in my back pocket for later.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
But it's also, it's like exercise is exercise. It's just a matter of like how you present it to them.
Yeah.
So like, I would say you don't have the special potion or the special programming.
No,
it's just maybe the way you present it and how you kind of relate. I'm very personal. I'm very open. I like to get to know people. Some people aren't like that. They want to come in and just work out and not talk. All right. Well, I'm not the guy for you because I'm going to grill you in the first session to get to know you more. So we have stuff to talk about. I'm not here to work out in silence.
No,
it's not me. It's not who I want to work with. But we can have. I can be an oversharer too. But sometimes clients just have to say, zip it. Let's finish the workout.
Yeah, dude, I love it. Well, thanks. I'm glad you came on. If you guys like this episode, like us on across all the platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and we will catch you guys on the next one.
Peace.